Sports Scope, the most influential sports talk show in the nation.
What is today, the 19th?
Stay tuned for updates and great sports content.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sports Scope. I'm your host, Robert Butler, on this, what is it, 9th day of, 8th of March here. Coming up on the big conference tournaments in the NCAA. The basketball games in the NBA get a little bit more serious. Plus, we got free agency starting next week. A lot of stuff going on. I'm going to talk with Carlos Mad New Yorker Chavez, who is backstage. I'm glad everything's working for him. Technical wise, I'm going to ask him about Daniel Jones. Going to be buyer's remorse is coming out of the camp, according to Rich Eisen. So I'm going to ask him about that. Saquon Barkley's legacy, and we gotta touch on that Jake Paul Mike Tyson fight. That's going to be great and interesting to talk about, and more. Go over a little bit of nostalgia there with the ESPN era from the early 2000s due to Chris Mortensen's death and more. Stand by. We'll take our first and only break, and then we'll hit the ground running here in 49 seconds here on Sports Scope. Hello, Sports Scope followers. The program has seen tremendous growth since going 5 days a week. I just wanted to thank everybody for your cash contributions and sharing the program with friends and families. Just a reminder, if you want to contribute to the program, go to the Cash App, the cash sign, and Sports Scope. There are other ways to contribute to the program listed at the bottom of the screen. If you want to advertise on the program, go to sports, that is sports with an S, another S, scope, SKOPE, at gmail.com, just like it's listed at the bottom of the screen. Thank you and enjoy the program. Of course, I didn't mention, we'll talk a little bit about the Nuggets, too. As I asked Carlos, what's he think about them possibly repeating? There he is. Hey, man, how you doing? Looking good there, Chief. Looking good there. I was trying to listen to you and Keith earlier today. Looked like we had some problems getting on.
Yeah, I think there was some issues with Facebook, but I'll
really?
figure it out. I was really upset. I really wanted to talk to him about what was going on with the NIL and stuff. So
yeah, I heard that. You know, I gotta touch on that next week with Nick Saban's really irritated with that. And
don't touch that, man. That's like a live wire and a bomb, bro.
That's a live wire and a bomb. Yeah, you know, that's one of those things. I actually predicted that would be the issue, that this would be a problem where you have it's a transition, and a lot of people do not want to deal with this transition period of players having this kind of power and authority. Coaches are transitioning. The coaches that they got plenty of money and have nothing to prove, they don't want to deal with it. But this is the old crap, what do we do period. And I think eventually things will settle down and people will be used to the new norm of the players having money. I know a lot of the older commentators and former players don't really like it. They don't like it, not even a little bit. But people our age are more understanding, you know?
Yeah, the problem is, like, we live in an age where money, we want to see transactions and we want to see money come and go, and just put on my app, I know I got money, you know? And it doesn't work like that because, you know, there's rules and regulations that NCAA has set up, you know, in its early statehood about how players are given scholarships, how they're given, how things are paid for, and the universities and a lot of these institutions can't touch the money per se because it has to be budgeted and things. So it goes into a lot.
There's still guardrails, is what you're saying.
Yeah, so that I think they have to deal with that first. Figure it out how, because the government at the end of the day, they don't care who gets money. They just want to make sure they got a piece of it. You know?
Yeah, and that's called iron. And I know I got to pay my taxes next month, and I've been stressing about it. So, anyways, that's college. I want to talk the NFL with you, man.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Rich Eisen said that at the combine last week, he hears that like we kind of predicted, the Giants are having buyer's remorse on Daniel Jones. And now you've got different quarterbacks coming up in the mock draft for the Giants. What's your thoughts about that?
I don't want to hear about nobody who's done nobody yet. Russell Wilson made a trip today to Newark Airport.
He was in Pittsburgh, actually.
No, he was in New Jersey first this morning. So
okay.
There's talks about
probably fly over, but yeah.
Yeah, there's talks about him being maybe like a good to go. He's just gonna make 1-2 more trips and that's it. If the Giants don't lock him down, then they should just forget about the future because you can't have a future anyways. Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. Regardless of who comes out as the quarterback for the New York Giants, who's going to protect him and who is he going to throw to and who's running the ball there? So those are 3 questions right even before you get to who's going to be the quarterback that you have to be able to answer. And I'm not down with the regimen. I've never been down with them. I don't drink the Kool-Aid. I like my team, but I don't like them. You can't take mediocreness and try to get greatness out of it. Just doesn't work.
Salad, chicken poop, and turn into chicken salad.
Yeah, so like so you can tell that they don't have experience by what they did last year. I've been on the shows and I've been saying if they're gonna do anything, they should just forget about Jones, get Russell Wilson in here before he went to Denver. I said this, right?
Okay.
Before he went to
and you can get him for peanuts right now.
Yeah, now you can actually get him.
Paying all of his salary.
Right now, you can actually get him, but you don't have nobody on the team to protect him.
But if I'm Wilson, why would I want to go to this team when the Steelers have had me in and they got so much more talent right now?
Yeah, they got more talent potential. So it's like, so right now I'm just like, as much as I like Russell Wilson for what he's done, and he should choose a situation where he's going to be protected, or he's going to have an opportunity to show his abilities. And look, I'm not naive. I don't think that he's going to be the Russell Wilson that was in these past Super Bowls that he was at. I know he's older, but at least you're going to get 5 games. He used to carry the team and win you 8 games, 7 to 8 games alone. Yeah. Right. He can at least win you 5 now. And he's in a better situation health-wise and age-wise compared to the other guy who came to New York, who's like, past his peak, who only lasted like
Aaron minutes that's
15 minutes on that field. So, but again, it's either pick him or don't worry about who you're picking or who you got, because that's all talk. You can pick any guy on that rookie class, and it's all talk. You don't know what you're going to get from them. You don't.
That was what I was going to ask you. My concern was they're picking 6th. Ironically, 5 years ago, Chief, 5 years ago, they did the same thing. They picked 6th and they took Daniel Jones. Okay.
And what I say about that
there's
pick?
A possibility they could be taking the 4th quarterback off the board. And, some of these quarterbacks are not going to hit.
Oh,
They're
no.
just not,
Of course not. They look good in college, but college makes them look good too. There's a thing about some of these quarterbacks, even high-rated quarterbacks. And, one of the guys I respect the most, he didn't even get a chance to be a quarterback in the NFL, but won the Heisman. But he did good for himself here in New York, is Charlie Ward, who skipped the NFL and said, I'd rather play in the NBA because I think I have a better opportunity there. So, and he did his thing. But, aside from talking about Charlie Ward and somebody that did okay in New York, he was a Heisman Trophy winner, right? But played another sport. So, look, man, if you had to put me in that war room last year, you wouldn't have been in this mess. I sat here and I told you, sell both of them. Get rid of both of them.
Okay.
Right?
Okay, yeah.
And I was like, you cut ties because you don't know, you don't have anybody
I was going to ask you about Barkley. I mean, Barkley he's a number 2 pick overall. I'm finally glad a lot of people in New York are coming to the realization that he was not a good pick. He's a good, decent player.
Right.
But they passed up on Josh Allen, Quentin Nelson, Lamar Jackson. Now we know is a 2-time MVP. So can you hold on for a second? Let me go to a quick break. I see a huge cockroach I got to kill that's driving me crazy right, man. It's that time of year, I think. Stand by. Hello, Sports Scope followers. The program has seen tremendous growth since going 5 days a week. I just wanted to thank everybody for your cash contributions and sharing the program with friends and families. All right, I'm back. Sorry about that. It's at that time of year, I think it's mating season. Okay, now
Them bugs come out, son. It's Tennessee.
yeah, no, I gotta put them little roach motels and stuff out here, right? And it's when it rains a lot and damp, it seems like they want to come in.
They got them water
We get a
bugs.
lot of rain here in Nashville here lately. So go figure. Anyways, Joe's apartment, right? Yeah. What do you think about Barkley's legacy? Was he better than like a Tiki Barber per se? I mean, he seemed like he had a lot of potential with the right team around him.
I mean, well, if you look at the last two seasons, even just last season, what he was able to accomplish without having the protection that he could have had.
Yeah.
If they would have invested more in that, I wouldn't say I don't want to say legacy. I just say like he played a few good years, and that's okay. If you want to give somebody legacy, you give it to like Ahmad Bradshaw and Jacobs, right?
You're thinking guys that got them rings.
Yeah, they got the rings, and they did when they had the opportunities, they took advantage, right? Thunder and Lightning, you know what I'm saying?
That's true.
That was their nickname. So, but not to take anything away from Barkley and what he was able to do with being on those teams that weren't as hot. So, I give him credit too because he literally says he wants to stay.
Yeah.
And if that's coming out of his mouth, that means a lot. That should mean a lot to the Giants organization. Should they keep him? If you knew Russell Wilson was walking in that door tomorrow, then tag him.
Yeah.
Tag Barkley. He says he wants to stay. That guaranteed money on a tag is nothing that's,
if you keep Wilson, they can't do nothing. They'll lose more money if they cut Daniel Jones. So they got to keep it as a backup.
Money doesn't matter. It's New York. We print money in these old newspaper shops now. That's what they do. You know what I'm saying?
So essentially, you would still have to keep Jones.
You can always, you can.
I mean, he's coming back from injury anyway. So.
Yeah, you can always, make him a backup. It's not like Russell Wilson's bulletproof and a Superman. Russell Wilson.
Yeah, he's 36, 37 now, right?
So, if he needs a break or something happens or he gets a break in his body, then they got Daniel Jones, and it wasn't a really lost season. But you can't stop.
You're saying just draft the best player available?
You sell the pick.
Like a Brock. I'm talking about the 6th pick, like a Brock Bowers or somebody.
No, sell the pick, or like
trade down.
Get out of there. Build your team up. You need a bunch of O-line, and you need some.
They really do need a right tackle. Neal was a bust, man. I don't think Neal can play.
Well,
I know Thomas can play, but Neal's just.
Well, I remember a few shows ago I said we can't really say if Neal was a bust because he's not surrounded around guys that were better than him. They might have been on the same grade scale or maybe a little bit better than him, but he wasn't on a winning O-line. Like he wasn't surrounded by O'Hare and all those other guys that were
back in the other regime.
Back in the day. That O-line was had a couple guys that are okay, and you throw the young guy out there. And he came from a championship winning team, but you didn't really give him any kind of support. And I feel like you can't really call him a bust if you got a running back who's in the top 10 2 years in a row.
Yeah. But here he's not a great run blocker. This guy, this other guy's a better run blocker that's in the draft. So
still, like, you have to take that in consideration. As bad as he was and rated very low, he's still on the O-line that helped produce a top 10 running back, which is kind of crazy if you think about it. Now, were they able to complete and score and do things that other teams did with better O-lines? No, but that Barkley right now is a free agent and can land on any top team that's ready to go to make a Super Bowl run.
Yeah,
and that man he was on that O-line, so you can't throw him under the bus yet. I I feel like if he went to another team that had a better O-line, it's possible he could.
Well, there's a lot of rumors that the Chargers may be that team. You know,
if they take him, I would say for him it would be probably better. He just got caught up in a situation where the Giants messed up by getting these two guys from Buffalo and didn't. And another thing, and I keep saying this.
Yeah,
New York is not a place to develop players. Stop trying to get guys to develop them, because New York teams are trying to or more closely mentally, maybe not on paper, ready to just go and try to win games and win championships, right? Because you don't like go to a team and be like, yeah, well, we're gonna develop Zach Wilson, we're gonna develop Daniel Jones. No, don't do that, because they don't have the capacity, because they don't have that mental. They're not ready mentally to do that.
I was thinking about putting a segment about that last week. You mentioned development players. You mentioned Zach Wilson, Daniel Jones. Throw in, by the way, there's no market for Justin Fields for what I'm reading. I mean, remember Mel Kiper about a month ago was like, yeah, I'm hearing he's going to get a first round. I mean, who is sober enough? Because somebody must have sobered up, because that first round picks talk is all of a sudden faded with smoke, right? Well, but Justin Fields is not ready. Daniel Jones, Zach Wilson, we've got a backup here, Malik Willis. Yeah. All these guys should work out something with the NFL and this. I think it's called the United Football League that's starting up at the end of the month.
Right.
With The Rock, it's the USFL and the XFL supposed to combine, and these guys can play in this league. Now, if they get hurt in this league, the teams are not on all the 100% of their money. Work out some kind of agreement where these players can get the kind of snaps that they need, because they're not ready for the NFL. None of those players feel like you can win big with. Malik Willis, Daniel Jones, Justin Fields, Zach Wilson, just to name a few.
And those few, I kept saying it, and whenever we had shows, I was like, I don't want them. Don't put them here. It's not that I don't like them, and I don't.
They need more work.
And this is not a place. This is New York, because it's not. New Yorkers are expecting championships, not expecting rookies to be, to be honest. And I don't know if I could say this, because I like Eli Manning, and I am proud of him for what he's accomplished, and I like what he has done. And I don't want to diminish him, but he wasn't a top-rated quarterback all the years that he was in New York.
No.
He showed up to work. He went out there and he did his job. But, he wasn't like the top-rated running quarterback. He wasn't the top-rated passing quarterback. He never topped. But he was New York's top.
He was big in the big games.
He was big in the big, So,
which I think will probably get him in the Hall of Fame. In my opinion.
Because he got, two Super Bowls, and he did what he had to do as a quarterback, which is what this all.
Was he the MVP in both of those Super Bowls?
I believe that's correct.
Okay.
Sure. But and so not trying to diminish his career at all, but or say that he was like not a good quarterback. He was a pretty decent quarterback his whole career. But to say put up numbers like Josh Allen's putting up numbers, or put up numbers like some of these other guys, Aaron Rodgers stuff, he didn't do that. He didn't do that at all. But
he might not be first ballot Hall of Fame.
He did his job.
He may be second ballot or third ballot.
And it wasn't
his brother's first ballot, because he got all those records.
Right. And he wasn't, how can I say, like he produced when he had to produce, but it wasn't like the Giants had to go out and keep developing him.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And remember back in the 80s and even in the 90s, I mean, Steve Young played for the XFL. Warren Moon played. I think he played in Canada.
Yeah. Warren Moon played in Canada.
Kurt Warner played. These guys feel like they're too good. The money's so good just to be a backup. You need snaps, Yeah,
so
that's what kills me.
The USFL, Vinny Testaverde, Steve Young, Jim Kelly.
Oh, I didn't know Vic. Did Vinny? He went to USFL too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Steve Young. And then Canadian League, you have Warren Moon.
Yes.
Right. So, like it's not terrible to not be an NFL quarterback and have to go and get reps somewhere else. Even one of the best quarterbacks ever who played in any kind of Super Bowl, Warren Moon.
Hostetler.
What?
Hostetler.
No, Hostetler. This guy from the Rams.
Warner.
Kurt Warner. Yeah. He played Arena League, right? So
I think he played in NFL. He did everything.
Yeah, he played.
I like a guy that goes to those means to become great at the quarterback instead of feeling entitled. These guys got to come down off their high horse, a little bit.
Another guy who was very close a few times, went to playoffs a few times with a couple different teams. Jeff Garcia.
Yeah,
he played in Canada, right? So.
I didn't know. I know Drew Maddox. Remember the guy who played with the Steelers before Ben Roethlisberger? He played with the original XFL.
Yeah, he played with the XFL. Yeah, that's right. And he
back in 2001 or 2002, I think. Yeah,
and he won the championship, and then he
won the championship. Yeah.
So, it's not impossible, right?
Because I see some talent with Zach Wilson. He just needs to be developed more.
I don't know.
He needs more snaps.
I don't know what you're feeding him, man. I've been telling you since day one. I don't know.
Well, I just think he's not. I think guys like Lamar Jackson have put more work in, and he was very raw as a passer early on.
I feel with someone like, because I don't want to diminish him because he's he's done a few things that I like. I feel like Zach Wilson, the fact that he's young,
very immature.
I think there's something about him because he's raw and immature. He could be an okay quarterback. I don't know if he'd be a number one top draft pick, top MVP quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah,
I can see him as a backup for sure.
Right.
But he still has to develop. Like he still is missing something. I don't know if maybe it's reps because he came out of that COVID year. And he played, and then they made him look like a superstar. But there was a lot of teams that weren't playing full teams, anyways. He came out of BYU, and I said, I was like, he's a flash in the pants, man. He got an arm, but something's up with him, and I don't know if it's mental. Even physically, he can get bigger a little bit. I think he can build some more muscle mass, but I wasn't down with that pick, and I wanted the Jets to trade down or get or sell the pick. And people were telling me I was crazy, that this guy is, everybody likes his arm, the scouts this and the scouts that. And I'm like, scouts have to say what they have to, they have to do a job. And if you don't put down on a piece of paper, anything, they're going to be like, well, what, why we have you here,
Yeah.
So, you can fluff anything you want, So, and I feel like that the Jets were so.
Do you think probably he should have just sit for a year or two like Jordan Love?
No, I don't.
Jordan Love came from a smaller school.
Yes, but here's the thing with Jordan Love. I don't think he's still ready. And people are like, oh well, he did great this year. He didn't do great last year. He took a step better this year. Just like when Daniel Jones played one good season. Like you can't just determine in one season that
he's got a better resume than Rodgers did the first year Rodgers started.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys who are like that and then just kind of flat out.
Yeah. We'll find out this year.
Yeah, and we're gonna. And the worst thing is,
but I thought Rodgers was a butt. I mean, I'm like, dude, this is your second year. You can't beat out an aging guy who's constantly talking about retirement, Brett Favre, and then he does okay his first year. The next year they get to the playoffs. Rodgers, I'm talking about.
Right.
They lose to Kurt Warner and that Arizona team. Then we know what happened. They end up winning the Super Bowl. And then now he's got 4, he's a Hall of Famer. Now he's got 4 MVPs.
Right.
He goes on to be a star. But Jordan Love, a lot of people, even your colleague, your ESPN, Fox people, this guy's a bust. There's nothing going to do.
The best thing he has going for him
off last year.
His last name is the best thing he has going for him right now. Give him time. I don't know if he'll be a Super Bowl quarterback. I don't even think a guy like Dak Prescott is ready to be a Super Bowl quarterback, even though he's doing things.
Dak is like 30-something. You're talking about a guy who's a 4-year starter versus a 8-year guy.
So like, but what I'm saying to you is that it just, even what we saw from this guy that the Jets drafted, who's playing for Seattle now, Geno Smith, like, everybody expected big things from him because he could run, he could throw, and then he just kind of sat around, and now he's taking his bumps, and now he's playing.
What if Drake May is as much as we've heard about him? What if he slides to the Jets at 6?
Man, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't want, and I will not like any quarterback coming out of the triangle of North Carolina triangle.
Okay,
schools. Like, don't keep away from, like, it's just that competition. They might play decent competition in the ACC in some of those schools, but I mean, I know how many quarterbacks that come out from that area and become great quarterbacks in the NFL.
You know what? I think that Wilson himself actually come from NC State.
Yeah,
now,
but
he also transfer. But
I was gonna say he played better. He played better in
Wisconsin. Yeah, he transferred to Wisconsin. So you never know where a star may be born.
Yeah, you never know. But that triangle don't be producing nothing but just a bunch of stand-ins. So
triangle.
I feel like
all right, Phil Jackson.
I just I say that because of Daniel Jones, and right now the only guy I'm rooting for is the quarterback from the Commanders. I think he's got something about him.
Who? How?
Yeah, I think he's the real deal. He just got to be on a better team, like all around.
Yeah,
team. I seen him carry the Commanders maybe 4 games, 5 games, and then that defense just let him have it.
One commentator, somebody mentioned that the other day. He says, something, we're all picking. By the way, Ron Rivera, they asked him the other day on ESPN, and he's like, well, I'd get a quarterback. So he's totally out, but he's a defensive guy.
Wow.
One commentator, he's like, listen, man, they really need a left tackle, and Joe Alt's a very good player. Maybe they could get a left tackle at 2 and maybe run it back with Howell. But everything I'm hearing, but with Cliff Kingsbury, that would be a really good fit with him and Jalen Daniels. They're thinking, Kingsbury's worked with Kyler Murray. He's worked with Mahomes in college, by the way. He coached Mahomes at Texas Tech. That may work. That very well may work at the 2 spot. And they got a lot of money too. They got like $85 million. And
I would say this: if you took Sam Howell for the 1.5 seasons he's played, almost 2 seasons, you compare him to what Love has done, to what Wilson has done. The fact that they forced him to go out there to throw the ball.
Yeah.
And he got sacked so many times. He's still better. His rating is so much better than those 3 other guys. Think about that. He has something. He just got to be on the right team and a better coaching staff. And I think
take him a year to get his confidence back.
I don't think he has a confidence problem. I think he's a rhythm guy.
Well, I'm just saying because he got sacked so much.
I mean, this guy came from the.
He may be gun shy at this point.
Yeah, what's his name? Who Carr, who ended up on the Giants. He
Derek Carr.
Times,
or David Carr, the brother.
His brother, David.
It was originally drafted by the Houston Texans. Switching gears to the round ball, like Jim Carrey would say in Cable Guy. What's your thoughts about this Nuggets team? They beat Boston last night. They're beating up on the Lakers. I'm starting to think they're just the best. They're going to win again. They're the best team in the league as of today. What's your thoughts on this run? They look really good right now. I
think right now they are the team to beat.
Yeah, same here. Yeah,
I don't think they're the best team in the NBA. I think they're the team that to beat. And I say that because they added so many extra games. They made the season longer for the players. I don't think you're going to get the best out of these players until the last 2 games. Well,
when you win the championship, you're getting everybody's A game, even in the NBA.
Right. So it's not going to be to the latter part of the championship runs from the East and the West, and then they get into the finals. So they're the team to beat. They're the the best. I don't know. A lot of these teams you've seen them play. They can kind of match up with the Nuggets, and that's not good.
Well, at the beginning of the year, I thought that Boston would be that team.
Yeah, I was hoping.
That freaking Porzingis is not. They're not playing him the way I thought they was going to play.
How do you think you was going to play the unicorn if he stunk it up in New York and he stuck it up in Dallas and he's going to stink it up in Boston? How you expecting him to play? What do you want him to do differently on this Boston team? How you think he going to help this team if he's an okay player, he's not a great player? How you think that was going to be?
I just don't see why in the bleep they play. For example, last night Boston had a chance to tie that game up. They had a chance very late. Jason Tatum is out by the 3-point line, wide open. Nobody's under the basket. You know what he does? Does he go to the rim and tie the game, or does he go for the league and take the three? No, he takes the three and misses. I'm thinking, what is with these guys? Why did you even get a guy like Kristaps, a 7-footer, and your problem was they take way too many threes.
Right.
And when it's not falling, they don't make the adjustment and go to the higher percentage shot. Play an inside-out game. Either whoever's your hot hand, whether it's Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum, run that two-man game kind of like what Denver runs with the Joker and Jamal Murray.
That's a problem, bro. Here's the problem.
They're too much into analytics, man.
No. And then they got who they got, then they're paying who they're paying. They got the white unicorn. They don't got the white racehorse. They don't got the white working horse. They got a guy who wants to look pretty and flash his wings and
Porzingis.
Yeah, he's not. He don't have killer attitude. He's not gonna attack the basket. He's not gonna do any of those things you hope a guy his size like Jokic would do. Jokic is one of those guys.
Jokic is a throwback.
Exactly. He's like a Sabonis.
He was hitting him with that hook shot yesterday. Yeah,
he's like a Sabonis with speed.
There you go.
If Vlade Divac and Sabonis had a love child, you would get Jokic.
Yeah.
The thing is that
he don't flop like Vlade, but he does a lot of other stuff like Vlade. I don't know if he smokes cigarettes like Vlade, but Vlade you smoke cigarettes all the time.
Vlade was like 64 years old and still playing in the NBA. No, but seriously. And so
Vlade was very old school.
And even though Porzingis is a European player,
he's
not even like Dirk at all. He's just one of these guys that's big.
Super finesse.
Yeah, and you don't need finesse in the playoffs. You need grimy. And I don't understand why this guy they didn't just pass him the ball in the 3-point line. He just run and just try to dunk it on people and try to just get a foul.
Yeah, he's back there taking three. And what they need is a Larry Brown to come out of retirement and get rid of this kid that at coach here. Boy wonder, nothing no offense to Missoula, but he's too young to be coaching a team like this. They need a Pat Riley, a Phil Jackson, a Larry Brown. Remember Larry Brown used to coach for Detroit? I mean, dig up the coach that used to coach for the Pistons back in the 80s.
But Robert,
get him out of the grave.
We ain't gonna see that anymore. There's not many teams.
Get these guys to play team ball.
Yeah, that's not
going to lead the league in 3-point attempts. Everybody talks about analytics. If you don't have a ring to show for that, that's hogwash. It means nothing. You're the Bills in the 90s.
It's just the way basketball is now. And that's why it takes more speed and it takes a lot of stamina because you're just throwing up stuff and you're hoping that it falls in and then you got to chase. You're either chasing to get the rebound.
That's why I've taken a liking to Denver because they get in. When they stop missing the three, Porter's a big 3-ball jacking guy, but when it ain't falling, Joker's like, give me the ball. I'm going inside.
Right.
I'm taking it to the rack. If I'm not, I'm going to dish it and give you a high percentage shot.
Right. Exactly.
Shaq loves this guy.
He has all-around basketball mentality and understanding of the game and when to slow it down and when it needs to speed up.
It's like us playing in the backyard.
Those football passes, you're like, what is he doing? And he can make them. He makes them. And it forces the other teams to run faster and catch up and play defense, the play real defense, which is hard to do if you've not been doing it. So, it's, again, they're the team right now to beat, but you can't play like Denver and expect to win every game either. Because I feel like the team is not the same as last year in the sense
they have a cut it on mentality, but maybe because everybody's giving them a tougher game, you know?
Yeah. So not because
they're not the dark horse no more.
Exactly. Not because they have the bullseye on their jersey. Yeah. So that's why, you know, and there's a couple teams that are, if you look at analytics, that shoot a lot of threes, but they're making them. Yeah. So we got you. Those are the teams you got to be careful because
OKC, they're about 2 years off. They're coming though, but Holmgren is small.
Hi, Deion Sanders. We coming.
They're coming. They're coming. You better get me now.
I like OKC's youth. I don't like that they don't have enough depth. Like once you get past,
they're developing that though.
Yeah, and that's a good.
2 years ago, they were like a 20-win team. I mean, this guy Presti is unbelievable, man. Yeah, building a great team like this in the middle of the country, man.
If you want to play Legos, play Legos, but championships need to be won and championships need to be played. And if you're not in that threshold, like Sacramento had the opportunity to, and then they just dismantled.
Yeah, I was on them. Like, you know, they beat the Lakers 3 straight this year.
You know, like, and then now they dismantled the team, but now they've been trying to move parts and like, you keep playing Legos and you ain't gonna get nowhere, man. You gotta just, you know, like everybody wants to be this guy in OKC. Like that's not basketball, man. That's.
Would you mortgage all those draft picks for Giannis in New York if that come about this summer?
Yeah, I mean,
30 years old, 6 first round
hard.
pick.
That's a hard call because
that's been a rumor, but I'll believe that when I see it.
Even if they did, they shouldn't because the Knicks right now, the average age is like 25. And so
he's like 30 though.
Huh?
He's a young 30.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a problem with that is that then you just got the same new look, old look Knicks where you got Patrick Ewing that's aging and he can't get over the hump.
I thought you'd be excited about that possibility.
No, I mean, I like Giannis, but you know, now that he's getting older and he's got the way that the league is played, he might be 30, but he plays like a 34-year-old. So I mean, look at this guy.
Does got Achilles.
How old is this guy in Philadelphia? He ain't that old, but he plays like a 40-year-old.
Yeah, he was playing like a 40-year-old Embiid when he was in Kansas.
Yeah, Embiid. Yeah, so I tell you, and I told everybody, I like Embiid. He's a good player, but I don't.
You're right. You're right. You're right. Okay. Hey, big fight coming up in July.
Are you gonna watch it?
Yeah. Hey, look, I've already renewed my Netflix because I got bored and there's not a lot of stuff on. Dude, it's 3 days for my birthday, Saturday, July 20th. I'm hoping this guy, Jake Paul, really ticks off Tyson. I'd like to see Tyson knock him out.
How old
do you think it can happen at 58? Or you think Tyson's going to be nice to this guy and just do it for the money?
He's just doing it for the money. He's been doing stuff for the money.
You know how Jake Paul is, though. He's very mouthy.
Yeah,
I mean, he's not Mayweather mouthy, but he's pretty mouthy, you know?
The thing about Jake, nobody gives him credit for, he's actually trying to be a boxer. He's actually I feel like he's a boxer.
Jack Hirsch calls him a fraud, but he's an old-timer, you know?
I mean,
he's a traditionalist.
I think it's the fact of how he's going about it and trying to get fights because nobody wants to fight him. And he ain't like this other guy who's been dipping fights since he was, since he won in the Olympics. So
who was that?
Whatever, Money Time Mayweather. I mean, he was a good boxer, but I don't feel like he's one of the best.
Mayweather's picking and choosing his stuff. He's getting older.
Yeah, and
he's about 50 himself.
I think the Tyson fight, it's like.
Do you think Tyson can beat him at 58? He's gonna be 58 in June.
Well, he beat up a guy in the airplane, right? So he can.
Yeah, he hammered the guy in the airport pretty good. In the airplane, pretty good. They didn't count that as one of the sanctioned fights, but I'm counting it.
and he wasn't wearing any gloves, so.
Let's wonder if he didn't really hurt that guy.
What are you expecting from the fight? What are you expecting?
Well, I think Tyson's gonna try to give us a show like he did with Roy Jones back in 2020. But I think Tyson still has a temper if this guy plays this role up too much, which I hope he does, this will be more fun to see Tyson just put the hammer on this guy. A tactical fighter like a Mike Tyson could still knock out a 28-year-old Jake Paul, who's got a slight height advantage on him. I don't know if you read this. I don't know how many rounds it's going to be. I hope this ain't 3 rounds, a bunch of nonsense. Let it go 10 rounds.
Look, I think Tyson's always been in good shape, man. He's always taking care of himself.
I've been watching them videos. He's in real good shape.
Nobody gives him credit for that. Because when he was young, he was abusive to his body. He even says that he learned a lot being in prison about his body.
I didn't think I was gonna make it this long, I thought I was gonna be dead at 40. I know what the F,
So but I'm gonna say this.
This kid better not make me mad. That's all I'm gonna say. Just better get this money. But if he ticks me off,
I think he can hit him once and ring his bell for sure. And
do you think that now Rob Parker, he thinks it's stupid that Tyson's fighting it. He wants Jake Paul to knock Tyson out, to teach Tyson a lesson for fighting.
This is kind of like history repeating itself, because there was an old George Foreman who came back to boxing.
He knocked out Mike. Oh God, what was that guy's name?
And people were like,
he became heavyweight champion, a real fighter though.
Yeah. So
at 44, 45, and he's fat and stuff.
That's what I'm saying. And Mike Tyson is probably, how old is he now?
58. He's even that much older.
Yeah, I think Mike Tyson is more like a 39 because he was in prison and he wasn't doing.
He's a lot. He's
a lot younger,
close to his fighting weight when he was like 32.
Isn't that crazy? So
yeah, he's in better shape than he was towards the end of his boxing career.
Are people breaking that down? Like, he hasn't boxed while he was in prison. He hasn't boxed much because of.
I think he was only in prison like 2 years.
Yeah, but then afterwards, a lot of people wouldn't fight him either. So
who was that guy that fought? Was it Michael Mosley? Michael Moore, I think who it was.
Yeah. So then,
I mean, he had George Foreman beat. Everything's everything. It's like the 10th round. He's winning the points and then puts his guard down for it. Domer's like, boom, big giant hand. You remember that happened in like 94.
Oh my God.
We were 13, but I watched the replay. I was like, oh my God.
Then you saw his, like, he was all like, his eyes were all swollen, but then you saw that big smile, like, I got you, fool. Like, he's like, yeah, I remember that. Was that Showtime or HBO?
That was an HBO fight,
yeah, man.
That was a good one, dude. Yeah.
No, it was actually, Foreman did his thing, and I think Mike Tyson, these boxers, they're gonna do their thing. Their mindset. They got a different mindset. Not to say that Paul can't beat him. I'm just thinking
he would have to run around and let Tyson wear down.
Yeah, and I don't
know if he's that good a boxer though.
Tyson has never been, in his prime, he wasn't ever called a good boxer. That's why he got beat by Lennox Lewis, right?
Yeah, he was more of like a knockout artist.
Knockout guy, yeah. But I think he still can knock people out.
I bet it on Lennox Lewis to beat Tyson. I like Tyson, but I know he struggles with taller players with that reach,
Yeah, no, I mean, I think he's gonna give him a kidney blow, and then he's gonna like knock him in the face, and then
that's what I'm thinking.
Paul's gonna take it. He's gonna get back up, and then that's it. That'd be the end of the fight. I don't know. I don't
like a TKO or something.
No, yeah, I mean, because I don't think Paul can knock Tyson out.
No, I don't either.
I think Tyson could take a couple of hits.
I'm just curious if Paul's got the nerve. If Paul's really wanting to make some money, he really ought to run that smart mouth to Tyson and tick Tyson off.
Yeah, he don't
just trying to keep the distance and hope Tyson don't kill him. But
this is gonna be like one of those "get off my lawn, kid! I'm gonna kick you."
Yeah.
And he's gonna be like,
I don't want to have to kill this white boy, but if I have to, I will. I mean, if he wants to, but I'm trying to make him some money. But if he wants to do it,
I'm kind of interested, but I'm not. I don't know.
Yeah, $60 million. He's a good marketer. He's a good marketer. That's what he said the other day. Oh, let me ask you about this. Chris Mortensen passed, but I thought about when we were in college.
Yeah.
Don't you think that like ESPN and breaking news in the NFL with John Clayton, Stuart Scott, Chris Mortensen, wasn't that like the golden era? Like this time of the year, like in 2002, 3 or 4, dude, we were glued to ESPN.
Right. I mean, there was no
the internet on your phone or nothing.
Yeah, and the competitors were still trying to build up their programming in sports.
Yeah.
Like ESPN was the leader in sports. You know, they went da-da-da, like that was
those sports. I'm talking about like the NFL Lives, the sports.
Right, the NFL, yeah.
All them mock drafts and stuff they would show them on Sports Center.
And look, and you said like goodbye to these guys, but you know, we still have Dan Patrick, we still have Keith Olbermann. They weren't.
Yeah, and they hadn't left ESPN at that time. Neither had who was the other guy? Rich Eisen. He didn't leave ESPN to 03 when they started the NFL Network.
Right.
But that was really the glory days, man. That was fun.
So we still
TV between classes.
Right. We still have those guys, but they're not, you know, they've done their thing and now they're, you know, doing other stuff. But
yeah,
those were the glory days. Leave it to the NFL to break that up and create their own network, right? If the NFL doesn't create their own network,
that's true. That's true.
ESPN partnership, the NFL could be like 50% owned by production-wise, owned by Disney right now.
Yeah.
If you think about it.
The NFL's a giant in its own, though. They may try to buy Disney. They got all those billionaires.
How about this?
Of them.
Disney just bought part of Epic Video Gaming.
Okay.
So there's, the money's getting thrown left and right. You know, like I said, God bless the Mortensen. I liked the fact that because they were the only ones, you wasn't hearing chitter chatter. Like you heard the real news and what was going to go happen. And I missed that from those days. I missed that a lot. Like I want to hear just real talk. I don't want to hear like, well, there's this and there's that.
You seen a little red when the screen went red and you had the breaking news. You didn't know what. You remember, like, for example, we all thought, I know about you watching it, everybody thought Reggie Bush was going number 1 that year in 06 to Houston. And you're watching all this stuff going. And then the last weekend, they said, no, this guy, Mario Williams, is going. Reggie Bush is going to go number 2. I'm like, wow, he's going to play with Drew Brees. That's going to be tight. And we all still thought all the way up to the last minute, it's still going to be Bush number 1. And, of course, Bush ended up going number 2. It was the Mario Williams, which he wasn't a bad player.
No,
Bush wasn't as good pro, but he did have some big plays at times with the Saints, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, the whole Reggie Bush thing.
That was part of that era where everything was like, you just constantly watching ESPN looking for something new to break, you know?
I remember it was like for 4 months, you just kept hearing about Reggie Bush and USC. And like,
he was bad.
And I'm like, can we stop talking about like USC? It was just like, there's other schools. In fact, they talk so much about
because we love the SEC.
But you wouldn't hear nothing about the SEC. Nothing.
Right.
Like you didn't hear about, you know, T. Martin and then went into you didn't hear about any of that stuff going on. Like, and it was like, and then he's got to turn over his Heisman. They're gonna take USC on.
Oh yeah,
this and that. It's like, oh god, but that was back in the day, man.
It was fun. It was fun times between you and Kevin Carroll. I remember arguing with Kevin, who he's been on a program with you before a couple of years ago, about 40 times. I was big in the 40 times, and in a sense, looking back on it, because that's what they would talk about on ESPN for those long sports, where they have those huge panels. They couldn't afford it now, but they'd have huge panels, former players, Steve Young, you name it, man. Just a bunch of guys, including Mel Kiper and Chris Berman and everybody. And they would talk about the 40 times. My thing about 40 times now is it's a tiebreaker to a great. Yes, film is number 1, but whoever's got the better 40, I'm going to take him over the guy with the less 40. Right. If it's a tiebreaker. But then, Kevin, if you're watching, you were right. The film is for. I was big on them 40s, but you know something? There's guys like Darius Hayward-Bay. Remember the Titans drafted a running back one time, won a great 40. just before they got Chris Johnson. I think his name was Chris something else from Arizona. He was terrible as a pro, workout warrior, but those guys got all the hype on those ESPN.
When did Devin Hester come out? Because remember when he busted out that 40, everybody's like, oh, we're gonna have to get
like
him.
04. I think he came out like 05. And then 2 years later went to the Super Bowl with the Bears.
Yeah.
I remember him as a freshman at Miami. His first big game, he played against Florida. He ran the ball back for a touchdown. He was big time, man. He was like Desmond Howard. But he turned out to be even better. I mean, they started kicking away from Hester.
I think Woodson was one of the biggest stars.
Woodson was bad, and that was 97. They did a 30 for 30 on that year.
When they were talking about his 40, I think everybody was like, you got to pick him. You can't not pick him.
He was a dual threat anyways.
Yeah. And it was like, and you just see him in the freaking rose in his mouth in Michigan, and I'm like, ugh.
That was tight, yeah. Well, I hate the fact that Peyton Manning didn't get the but hey, Peyton, listen, you got to beat Florida. You know, he never did beat Florida. Oh, by the way, what do you think about Peyton Manning recruiting Bill Belichick to do the Manning? Dude, I would record that.
I mean,
how stupid would that be? But I would. I'm a junkie like that, man. I would record watching them two go back and forth.
I'm gonna tell you, man. If it wasn't
watching those football games,
yeah, if it wasn't for the Manning cast, there'll be some very low ratings in some of these Monday Night Football games.
Well, I've heard the Manning cast was really good though, even though the games may be bad.
That's what I'm saying. If it wasn't for the
the
games are pretty terrible. Even Thursday night. Sometimes just watching
Al Michaels hates those.
Oh man, Al Michaels, man,
he disses them on the air and everything.
Sometimes I just pray that John Madden come back as a ghost to help him out.
Man,
you know, like pick this guy's spirit up because he dogs everything.
I liked him and Pat. If I had to pick my favorite, him and Pat Summerall are my favorites all time.
Yeah, like he just needs.
But Al Michaels was good though.
He's good. He needs
him and Collinsworth were really good. I liked them too.
He just needs to be a little bit more like positive. Like,
well, he's used to doing the big games. He got all that extra Amazon money, and he's bored doing these Jacksonville and Tennessee games.
He's
used to doing the Chiefs and I don't know Baltimore, somebody big, you know.
Yeah, we do some of these pre-games, and I'm like, I don't know. I hope for a high scoring game, and it's like 12 to like 6, and you're like, I don't know. I try to be positive myself about it, but I'm like,
yeah, Al Michaels, the Philadelphia Eagles, get your eagle on. Yeah, man. You got anything else to plug right now? Are you still doing the NFC East show?
Yeah, but we there was a hiatus.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the draft coming up soon. We're going to have a draft day. You and I going to have a draft day?
Yeah. Thursday, what we'll do is, folks, we'll do the first 10 picks of the day of the draft. You have your mock. I'll have my mock. I'll do a mock beforehand.
Yeah.
I don't want to do a mock too soon. I want to make sure that the free agency goes through first.
Yeah. And how about this? We do a mock, not expecting any trades. Just straightforward.
Yeah. Straight up.
Yeah, number 1 to 10. Because I don't think between 1 and 7, I don't think any of those guys are going to be picked.
Yeah. And what I could do while we're
doing a lot of trades and stuff. So
I just noticed my banner. Well, we can do this, talk about this on air. I got a few minutes. I can write in like I'm getting, the picks off my phone, and I'll put them on our ticker while we're watching, and we'll just go through it. Since I follow this guy, he goes to the draft every year on the X out. This Ari Borov, whatever his name is. But I used to go on Mac and Jack and Jim. They're like, "What do you mean you've already got the pick in?" Yeah, I know what the pick's going to be, Jack and Jim. Y'all watching TV. I'm about 5 minutes ahead of you. I got my mans in them.
Yeah, I mean,
so I'll put it down while we're talking. So it's, it's. And by the way, going back to Daniel Jones, not to beat a dead horse, Charles Davis has J.J. McCarthy from Michigan going 6'2".
Yeah. So I heard
I heard he's got a good football IQ.
Yeah, I heard his stock went up. I don't know why you would go that route. unless you knew that you were going to spend time with him to develop him.
Yeah.
He's still kind of raw. I was surprised that he was able to do what he did at Michigan his last year. But you know, he earned his keep. He earned his way in to try to be drafted. So, but don't pick him to play tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
You know,
Well, it would be a count battle, and if it's me, if I'm that owner, I'm saying, listen, guys, if you pick this guy and he's a bust, we're going to find another general manager here. I mean, we can't keep blowing picks at quarterbacks this soon in the draft, because I know there's some. I think Brock Bowers is a can't miss at tight end. Rome Odunze feels like a can't miss at receiver.
Yeah,
You know,
but
some of those right tackles feel like
okay, they can't miss. But at what, like, if you're a GM, you're like, please get towards the second round, because you know the first rounders get that bonus.
Yeah. Well, you've got 2 second-round picks. You might not be able to trade it down, is what I'm saying. You might have
that bonus. Sometimes, if you're one of those stingy teams, you're like, I don't want to play a cap hit on that bonus. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, like, and so
in the ideal world, a lot of these guys would like to trade down, but only one could probably do that is probably the Bears. You know,
the Bears.
It's like they're going with Caleb.
I have
Williams
high hopes for them this year, and I hope they just start getting players left and right, and just I can't right now. I don't like that division. It's too open.
Yeah,
you know, so anybody can win that division, and they need a stalwart like Green Bay used to be.
You talking about Green Bay or Giants, right?
You know, the NFC North. They're like
the NFC North. Well, with the Bears, yeah.
I need them.
Now the Bears have a pretty good. They seem to hit on the right tackle, the Tennessee guy. DJ Moore turns out to be a great trade.
Right.
Cole Kmet's a good player. They had a good free agent in that linebacker Edmonds, so they kept Johnson, their corner. They've got some pieces. Mm-hmm. They just need the quarterback, you know.
But I don't know if I don't know if they need a quarterback. I think they need
they still got Money at receiver. By the way, they got the 9th pick. They might be able to get another receiver too.
They got a lot of stuff going their way, and they need to I don't know. They need to make a plan and need to figure it out, because
John, he's cautiously optimistic. John Restano, big Bears fan out of the Niagara.
Remember him on a few shows.
Yeah, I love John. All right then, man. I will see you next week. We'll be a little bit closer to this thing. We'll be talking. Have Tennessee be in the big SEC tournament this time next week.
I hope so. But the thing, listen. Hopefully next week I'll be on with Keith 9 o'clock.
9 a.m. folks. Are you serious?
I don't know if you've been able to catch the New York baseball show with the forkball.
Yeah, I gotta check that out. Who is that on? Let's Talk Sports or Northeast Streaming?
It's on Let's Talk Sports, and I'm on there with Brian Valente. He's a young buck, and he's
now. What time is that one?
That's at 9 o'clock at night, but it's on YouTube. You can catch it.
What day? Tuesday.
Tuesday's 9 o'clock. Yeah.
8 o'clock Central, 9 Eastern.
Yes, right.
Okay. Yeah, I'll check that out, Chief. I have to make a mental note of that, and of course, the audience, you watch it as well. So
yeah, we got spring. We're trying to get phasing out of spring training. The rosters will be set pretty soon. Get excited for the ball to be thrown. So that's what I'm waiting for right now. And then with you, every Friday nights at 8.
8 o'clock, 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Central, man. Thanks for coming on. Have a good night, everybody. See you, man.